over $1.2 million worth of grants to alleviate pressures on our fire capital fund. To write those grants helps us not tap into that fund. Therefore, we should be able to use that funding for other operational needs, such as personnel.
Yes, Mr. Otto.
To the point of not being able to use those specifically earmarked funds, I do understand that. However, does each department receive general fund money?
Yes.
Could that money not be placed there since they already have the other monies coming in to take care of those needs? I know there are ways to make these movements because I've seen them.
There certainly are, and I certainly didn't make comments to try to, since you said you weren't going to support it, I wasn't trying to get you to support it. I was just merely providing some claritative explanation on the methods that when we made promises to open up that third fire station and operate it to the expected and maintain levels of service for the community, this was the plan that fell in line with that. Certainly could this council...
Okay, we got to stop for a second. Was issue 13, was issue 19 anything to do with opening a fire station? Go back, open up Huber Heights YouTube page, play those videos, or go back in time and look at all the information that's out there. And I've tried to go back a little bit on the council meetings, but for some reason I can get recent council meetings to come up, but I can't get other council meetings. Could be something to do with my computer, could be something to do with storage. I don't know, haven't asked, don't care. But what I was going at is, look, it was never about, they add all this stuff up. They get you to pass this huge tax increase. And believe it or not, if you didn't vote for issue 19, your taxes wouldn't go up. If you didn't vote for issue 13, your taxes wouldn't have, quote unquote, stayed the same. They would have went down, right? Your taxes would have went down, so it could have been a decrease. But no, we said, listen, if you're telling us the city is in dire straits, we want to maintain our city services. Now, the city's in such a good job. Why would they cut taxes and help the people out? No, they wouldn't do that. They'll just add more, so when 2025 comes around, they'll have to get another renewal. Does anybody believe that's not going to happen, that they're not going to ask for a renewal? Centerville's at 2.25% income tax rate. Why not Huber Heights? I don't know. We'll finish this last 40 seconds here. Sorry about that.
Decide to change that? Absolutely. You are right that there could be a change in the allocations of general funds and a reduction of the subsidy to the fire division, and required to use the remaining balance of that fire capital to subsidize that in general fund. But unless told differently, the way that it was passed and voted on by the residents and maintained by ordinance through the council, that's the direction, obviously, that we're going to continue to go in. So that's, there's just declarative statements for that purpose. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, I do have some other questions and comments. I'm teasing. I'm only kidding. Anyway, we're having a discussion here, right? And before we go any further, I just want to say the city manager, Mr. Schomer, is doing his job. He has to continue to sell this, or what happens. But it's important to know the backstory. It's important to know where this came from. I don't believe Mr. Otto's saying no to more fire positions. He's saying, look, we promised the city one thing, to maintain, and now we're coming for more, and we're adding more. Okay? There's no way. How in the world will Huber ever reduce taxes for the residents of Huber Heights? How will it happen? When you continue to spend money, you're going to need that money. So in 2025, they're going to come back and they're going to do another renewal. And you have to know why it's coming in 2025. Some will say, oh, no, they won't. I will bet a hot dog that it's coming. So let's just talk for a minute. Huber Heights pays income tax, or the Huber Heights income tax rates are 2.25%. Inglewood, 1.75%. Fairborn, 1.5%. Go over to Springfield, 1.5%. Springboro, 1.5%. Who has the same and I think I mentioned it before, Centerville has 2.25%. Same as Huber Heights. Our arch rivals, the Elks. So what gives? What gives? Do you want to continue paying a higher tax rate, or, and if you do, maybe that's okay. Maybe you want to do like Mr. Otto said and funnel that money into other places where it's needed. I talked to someone from Huber Heights, it wasn't a week ago, that talked about all the things that needed to happen. They need more zoning enforcement to take care of some of the properties that are around there. Every time that comes up, there's not enough folks to handle the zoning to take care of those properties, to make sure that businesses, certain businesses are up to code. Certain homes are up to code. There's nobody there to protect the city there. Maybe that's what he's talking about. The Parks and Recs department. Maybe there needs to be more money in there. I mean, is Huber Heights falling? Are they going to lose out if they didn't hire more fire personnel? Is the services going to decrease? I believe that was answered. And the answer to that, I believe, and I think I heard correctly, was no. No, it's not. I was also told that, and this was, a month ago, give or take, that the police department is fully staffed. That's what I was told by a high-level person in the city. And it wasn't a member of Team Huber. I know people like to say, Matt, you agree with Team Huber quite a bit. But they forget in 2015, I ran a crappy campaign, but I ran against Team Huber, against Glenn Otto for the at-large. Do I agree with him quite a bit? Yeah, I do. I think he and I have similar values on things. Small government, freedom, and hopefully lower taxes. And I would think, not everybody, but a majority of Huber Heights would love to pay less taxes. So as long as things are being added, you're never going to pay lower tax. It's not feasible. So there's that. We had to cover that. Why do we have to cover that? Because that happened 3 months ago and we should have did it then. But, and I'll say again, I don't begrudge anybody for arguing the other side. They're doing their job. And the job of the city manager is to sometimes go for levies when it's needed and then defend those levies. That's what he's doing. He's doing his job. And you got to respect that. I think you have to respect that. But, positions like Mr. Otto's, you got to respect that too. And some, like myself, agree with his position. Let's listen to this.
It will not increase the taxes paid. All it does is maintain the existing earned income tax rate for the city, which allows the continued support of public safety services. Issue 19 was voted as earmarked funds, dedicated solely for public safety. That's exactly where those funds are being used today. Promises made, promises kept.
The purpose of this continuation issue is to maintain safety in city services.
Maintain safety in city services.
Promises made, promises kept.
The purpose of this continuation issue is to maintain safety in city services. It is important to know that this is not a new tax. This is part 2 of the city's plan to maintain the current tax and the current levels of service.
Okay. What was that? What was that? That was the chief of police for the issue 13. Came off the YouTube video that the city put on. Maintain current levels. And it happened in 2015. So, any argument against, I would say, is, I don't know. So, is Cheaper Heights maintaining until 2025? The answer to that was voted on by the city council. And no, they're adding.
The continuation of the existing earned income tax allows us to maintain the current level of public safety and quality of life services provided to the city.
There it is again. Same video. They pumped it in. That was the slogan the whole time. Maintain city services, not a new tax. Not a new tax, maintain city services. And, that's the point that we all know now that Councilman Otto was making. I'm voting no because we were promised one thing. All right. So I think we drilled down on that enough. Let us move on. All right. Next up, I'm going to play a clip from the. We'll move along. We'll go to the work session from April the 3rd, and we'll play this here.
Next up, item 3G. We have the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, Phase 2. So there was some discussion that we had at the last work session where there was talk about some type of a compromise, and so I would entertain listening to anyone who has developed anything or brought anything they'd like to talk about and discuss in that before I kind of give my thoughts. So, comments, questions? Okay, so with that, if there doesn't seem to be anybody who's got a compromise in mind, I'm just going to say I think when it comes to this master plan, my opinion would be that we should probably just go ahead and do this. I think I don't think that it's bad money that's been spent, but I do have a concern that if we don't finish what we started, then that might become bad money. After kind of reconsidering this and thinking about this a lot, my thought is that we do need something that is more of an arm's length situation where we have a third party who's looking and evaluating and advising us to where we have unbiased opinions about what needs to be done, how it needs to be done. Once we have, if council desires and votes to move this forward, we'll have an actual plan that then we can determine the order and the implementation of the process of how we want to move that forward. So that's my opinion. I think we should move forward with this, get it done, and then move on to other things. So since there was no other comments or no compromises, yes.
I have really nothing to add to that or my prior comments, but just to reiterate, I see we're doing a lot of things right now, sans any type of phase 2, to try to do some different things in the parks, and I think we can continue doing that. I'm just not sure this is necessary at this moment. I think maybe down the road we get to a point to where we find ourselves against a wall and we don't know which direction to go. Then we're going to need something like this. But at this point, I think we're kind of moving on some different smaller projects, and I think we can keep that momentum going. So,
well, I don't think there's anything in this plan that would keep us from momentum. I think this just gives us certainly a backup and a direction, a strategic plan, a vision for the plan. So there again, this is a consultant. So I would say definition of consultant. They're giving us the ideas and a direction, but it's still up to this council to determine how we would move forward and how we would actually implement that process. But I think not finishing it, what we've started, I just don't think is a good idea. Any other comments? Yes, Mr. Otto.
Can I just simply ask, would this be